So I haven't played Sonic Unleashed for what feels like years, and after returning to it in the year 2025, I realized my opinion on the game has completely changed from what it was before. Conventionally attractive human, my name is RidersDX. Welcome to my channel, where today I want to talk about one of the most iconic and infamous Sonic games of all time, and that is Sonic Unleashed. And the reason I want to talk about it is because recently Sonic Unleashed has gotten ported to the PC, although not in the way that would seem like the most traditional way of doing things. So what happened is this random YouTube video got uploaded, and it basically just gave you a step-by-step tutorial of how to play an enhanced version of Sonic Unleashed on the PC. And what's really crazy about this whole thing is that you have a lot of options when you go and play the game, so you can change like the screen resolution, things like that. It comes with a bunch of other options to optimize your gameplay performance, and the best part is it gives you an option to mute the battle theme of the Werehog. And I have to say, this was a much needed edit. I'm hoping that the Sonic and the Secret Rings remake also like changes the menu theme, so it's not playing 7 rings in hand like over and over again when you get to the menu. But anyway, Sonic Unleashed Recompiled does what so many fans have been asking Sega to do for years and years now: port Sonic Unleashed to the PC. And I honestly still don't truly understand what it is about Sega, because I would understand if the game wasn't that successful and Sega just didn't think it was worth like porting it to the PC, but they've also ported games like Sonic Lost World and Sonic Forces to the PC. So I'm like, I don't know if those versions came out when the game launched or afterwards. I think Lost World came afterwards, but that's just my like memory saying that. But Sonic Unleashed definitely deserves a chance to actually be on PC and like get an audience in this day and age, because Sonic Colors got it, Sonic Generations got it, Sonic Lost World got it, Sonic Forces got it, Sonic Frontiers got it. Like pretty much every single 3D Sonic game was able to get a PC version in this generation besides Sonic Unleashed. But Sonic Unleashed Recompiled was a perfect excuse to revisit Sonic Unleashed and really just see how my opinion might have changed since I first played it. So I would say that for the longest time, Sonic Unleashed to me was like daytime stages, awesome, you know, breath of fresh air. I really love these, you know, the game should have been daytime stages entirely. And then the Werehog, unnecessary addition. I don't know what this is doing here. This is a Sonic game, you know, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, you've heard a whole shebang already. I pretty much share that opinion too as well. Although I never hated the Werehog per se, I would just say that it was an unnecessary part of Unleashed and the game really did not need it. But playing this game in 2025, years after I last touched it, which I don't know, could have been like maybe 2022 or something, who really knows at this point, I have to say my opinion on the game is a little different than what I've been saying it was. So I think the best way to kind of dive into what my opinion is to just kind of dive into the two main gameplay styles. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the Werehog. Okay, so the Werehog is a very controversial addition about Sonic Unleashed, because I would say if there's anything about Sonic Unleashed that really aged well in this day and age, it is the fact that the game feels massive. It feels like a whole ass adventure. It feels like a game bigger than itself. The worldly like structure of the game, how you're traveling from each part of the planet to put it back together, it truly makes this feel like a huge and epic adventure, even if the narrative side isn't as strong as like previous Sonic games. But another reason the game feels as huge as it is because a large portion of the game comes from this gameplay style, the Werehog. And so I would assume that everyone watching this video knows what the Werehog is and how it works, but it's basically a brawler and you go through these levels at the slow pace, destroying tons of enemies and just getting to the goal. And it definitely had like a God of War kind of feel to it, and it definitely was just another entry in the book of alternative gameplay styles Sonic games tried, because they didn't think the classic Sonic gameplay was enough to sustain a game. And for as long as I can remember, I always thought the Werehog levels were completely unnecessary and were way too long and dragged on for far too long, and that there wasn't a lot to really glean from them. I think the gameplay style itself has always been solid, but compared to what's already in the game, it just feels like a waste of space, honestly. I will say though, returning to this game in 2025 and playing the Werehog levels again, I was actually kind of shocked at how the levels really didn't feel like they dragged as much as they used to. A lot of these levels will take like maybe 15-20 minutes, and that does seem like a lot of time, but but when I was playing the game, it truly didn't feel like a lot of time at all. In fact, it felt like it was just, you know, the equivalent to playing like a daytime stage a few times over, which is something that you're going to do anyway because you want to get better times, you want to improve your score, and there's also all those stupid sun and moon medals that you need to get. The Werehog levels just dragged a lot less than I remember it, and I actually was able to appreciate just how solid the gameplay style is overall, because it controls well enough for the most part, and combat isn't that monotonous. It's a little bit, but not too monotonous, and there's some interesting platforming puzzle challenge in these levels as well, and I found myself actually sort of appreciating the Werehog more playing it this time around, which is crazy because I definitely am still of the opinion that the Werehog should not have been a part of this game, but nonetheless, years and years after the game came out, being able to really accept that the Werehog is just a part of Unleashed, the Werehog is not a bad gameplay style, and if anything, I would love to see it come back in some shape or form, maybe as like a spin-off gameplay style for like a different character. Like I could totally picture Omega game, for instance, in this style, or like a Knuckles game in this style, you know, some sort of like character that's like a real big brawler and would really thrive off like intense combat. I think the Werehog, if it was not a Sonic game, like if it was its own thing and gotten its own chance to really shine, I think it would have been received a lot better than it ended up being received, because you put this in a Sonic game and it just does not fit a Sonic game, and it still doesn't. But years apart from Unleashed, I think I've actually have been able to appreciate some of the more positive qualities of the Werehog, and it's not something I really mind as much anymore. It definitely is not going to be at the top of my like 3D Sonic games to return to. Shadow Generations is definitely still up there right now, but I would say that it was fun to revisit the Werehog, and I was surprised at how much more I enjoyed it compared to how I enjoyed it before. So maybe it also comes from having played the game multiple times at this point and knowing how to play the Werehog, so I'm able to get through it faster. But still, the Werehog, not so bad. It honestly is not so bad. I was kind of shocked and pleased at how I actually was able to enjoy the Werehog this time around. So not only has my opinion on the Werehog levels changed, my opinion on the daytime levels have also changed. So okay, let me start. Before we get anywhere, the daytime levels in Sonic Unleashed are still a lot of fun. They're still like a really great representation of what Sega and Sonic Team wanted to convey when this game came out, and that was high-speed action in a 3D gameplay style that was a lot less glitchy and a lot less inconsistent compared to the adventure games. And I say this as like an adventure fan. You know, I'm a huge adventure Sonic fan, and I think that gameplay style is still better than the Boost gameplay style. And I'm also kind of seeing how with Shadow Generations, we're slowly getting closer to the adventure gameplay style, because they definitely have slowed down Shadow a little bit in Shadow Generations, and he feels a lot more akin to like an adventure gameplay style. But it's still Boost, obviously. There's still Boost gameplay in there, and you're still boosting the levels at high speeds. But with Sonic Unleashed, it feels much more heavy in that boost aspect. You're literally blazing through these levels. There's no time to slow down. There's very little platforming, if any. And when there is platforming, it feels very awkward and stiff and just not reliable. And I have to say, going straight from Shadow Generations to Sonic Unleashed, you notice the difference. You notice the difference in these boost levels and how far Sonic Team have really come in designing these levels. Because Sonic Unleashed is very, very chaotic, and it's unpredictable, and you just never know what you're gonna get when you play these levels. And I think Shadow Generations is a true example of how much they really refined the boost gameplay style and how much better it is now compared to before. But going back to Unleashed and playing through these levels, they really have not aged that well to me. They feel a lot more inconsistent, a lot more out of control, a lot more slippery, a lot more just less refined compared to what the boost gameplay is now. It unfortunately makes these levels a little less impressive than when I first played it. But I think that's okay, because Unleashed came out all the way in 2008. So we're almost 20 years out from Unleashed, which is absolutely insane, and I don't even want to think about that anymore. But Unleashed being almost 2 decades old and still being the fun gameplay experience that it is, I think is a testament as to how good this game really was and how the critics around the time were just absolutely wrong. I think if anything, what's really changed for me with this game is I found a lot more to appreciate about the Werehog levels, but I also think that the daytime levels have aged a little bit, and the boost gameplay levels that we have now are miles ahead of what we have in Unleashed. But nonetheless, Unleashed was a stepping stone. Unleashed was what we had to start with, and Unleashed was the one that really kick-started this improvement in Sonic's gameplay overall, because I have to say, like, 06 definitely was like a huge wake-up call for Sega and Sonic Team, and Unleashed was the first step into repairing the Sonic franchise and making a comeback from that. And now we're in an era where we have games like Shadow Generations, we have a really successful movie franchise. It's interesting to bring Sonic Unleashed back in this way now, and just to see how it compares to everything else. This project is really cool because you get to like incorporate mods and stuff as well, so it really does give Unleashed a chance to play the big boys and be appreciated for what it is, despite being a stepping stone, despite like not getting everything right when it first came out, and that's okay. I am totally accepting of that, and even though I didn't enjoy the boost levels as much as I did before, I still very much enjoyed them overall. And Unleashed, whether you like it or not, whether it's your cup of tea, it is an ambitious project. It did so much to elevate the Sonic franchise in a time when it really needed something. And even though it was not appreciated at the time of its release, it's nice to see so many fans like stick up for this game now. And it's nice to see so many people trying out Sonic Unleashed with this new project and realizing that, hey, it's actually not as bad as they were saying when it first came out. It actually is a really good game. I remember when I was a Sonic fan back then and I just finished Sonic 06 and I was just left wondering what the future of this franchise was going to be. Sonic Unleashed was actually leaked when it first got announced. So I remember like downloading a gameplay video of Daytime Missouri from this weird website and seeing the footage for the very first time, and my jaw dropped. It was absolutely insane and incredible to see Sonic in what felt like a true next generation experience. Like Sonic 06 felt next gen in some ways, but Sonic Unleashed felt truly next gen. It felt like the true next evolution of Sonic, and boy was it, because 20 years or so later, we are still going at the boost gameplay and we are still evolving it. Although I do believe that Frontiers was a bit of a benchmark. It is going to mark a significant shift in the Sonic boost gameplay, and we're gonna get something I think completely new by the time all this evolution is done. So I'm excited for what the future of Sonic brings, but I'm also really glad to see Sonic Unleashed come back in this way and be appreciated for what it was, because even though it's not a perfect game and even though there was a lot of weird decisions with the game, it is still one of my favorite Sonic games of all time. And I think story-wise, graphic-wise, even gameplay-wise, soundtrack-wise, the game hits so many marks, and it is just such a pleasure to see the game come back in this way. And I just kind of wish that Sega went and did it, because it would just kind of be a sign to me that they understand that this game has a lot of value as well. But you know what? Sega can't be perfect, obviously. So it is what it is. I'm glad we have such a dedicated and passionate Sonic fan base that is able to make projects like this. It is absolutely incredible, and I cannot wait to see what else this fan base cooks up in the future. I mean, Colors Re-Rainbow, Sonic 06, Project 06. Now we have Sonic Unleashed recompiled. I know there's a Secret Rings remake coming out. The Sonic fan base is amazing, and I thank you all so much for giving us all these opportunities to enjoy these games that were just such big staples in our childhood. So yeah, thank you so much. All right, y'all, let me know your thoughts about Sonic Unleashed recompiled in the comment section below. Did you play it? Let me know your thoughts, and do you still want Sega to port this over to the PC? I do want to still port it to the PC. Like, Sonic Unleashed deserves it, but I guess we will see if that is to ever happen. But all right, y'all, this is Riders, riding out.